Bleeder. Hemophilia, an abnormal condition of males inherited through the mother, characterized by a tendency to bleed excessively. A bleeder. History exists temporarily, and people take place. Events are carried away to different directions through the mind as images. Images dissolve across the passage of years into memory. Stories are told, songs are sung, hearts become rooms set aside, and hallucination begins.
He's really running through my heart tonight. I guess he always had this strong religious bent, because every time we'd all get together and start drinking, get really drunk, we'd tell stories. And he was a great storyteller. Great, hilarious stories and dirty jokes, really filthy. And we'd all be laughing our asses off, just rolling around, howling on the floor, and then all of a sudden, he'd just stop, freeze, not even blink, just get up and go sit down at the piano and stare at the keys. And then he'd start playing and singing real soft, some wonderful, beautiful, sad gospel song, like the devil had suddenly just hopped right out of his mouth and sweet angel had stepped in. It was spooky. His favorite song was the Rock of Ages, cleft for me. Let me hide myself in me. God, before he'd be finished, we'd all be crying. It was just amazing, strange and weird. It wasn't that he was religious in all like a church-going sense, though he did keep up that end of his appearances. But he really, honest to God, just seemed to have this special feeling in his heart for Jesus. I think it was all that blood. His image was that of a gambler and a charlatan. They called him second-rate and evil. Rumors had it he vampired with pills. Several stories actually exhausted themselves into legend. He coiffed himself in the rigid but fashionable gospel plow. He spoke the proper remark, wore stormy tweeds, and smoked gracefully. He was born to oil and married into cattle and lived intact. Every item in his home was of a combative influence. Whatever mythologies that had been gathered were carefully placed behind glass in the den. Lyndon Johnson wrote him letters. He was born to face the music. One of his main real dreams was to be a revival preacher. God, he could have done it too. He wanted to travel all over in a big gospel train like Ringling Brothers and pitch up this huge, ornate, giant gold lame tent, the Cloth Cathedral, he called it, and bring in lots of top singing stars from Hollywood and Nashville and get into some real big-time heavyweight show business healing. That's where the real snakes get handled, he'd say. The real money. Cash through Christ. And then he'd laugh. Yeah, he'd laugh and laugh and laugh, but you knew he wanted to do it. He really wanted to lay on hands. Pills. He called them his little red children. The little red child. Flies, he'd say. His first memory was a shadow. It leaned on him. He was asleep in his crib when a brilliant, razor-thin, vertical shaft of light slid open the room. He watched it, terrified, move at him slowly. He screamed and screamed and screamed, but it touched him anyway, on the stomach. And he poured out 33 times from this thing into his life. The next morning he suffered his first serious hemorrhage. Tiny wings flew out of his mouth. And over in the corner his mother swoons and beats at her breast like an ape, crooning, "Oh, baby, baby, baby. Oh, baby, 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 baby." His favorite show business personality was Oral Roberts, especially back in the early days when he did that thing of shaking all over and he'd put both hands right up to the TV camera and beckon all of primetime America to get down on its knees and come crawling to the set to touch hands with him, palm to palm, and receive the sweet blessings of Jesus through the electronic marvels of God's own handiwork, the modern science. An excellent scam, better than Billy Saul Estes, he said. And of course, this was before all that information started leaking out about TV emitting enough radiation to kill laboratory rats. He told me once that the story of Abraham offering up Isaac for sacrifice was a total distortion, probably even an outright lie. A daddy wouldn't do that, he said. God would have never tested his old crone wife, Sarah, because he knew she'd have stuck the kid in a New York minute. It's the women who use all the knives in this life. The mothers, he said. The old man's just a device, just a stupid device with a dick. He could be real cynical. He didn't just bleed blood.